It was February, and the city was wrapped in its usual mix of gray skies and hurried footsteps. Inside her cozy apartment, Kasia Park leaned back on her velvet sofa, a steaming mug of chamomile tea cradled between her hands. Her cat, Machi, purred softly on her lap, kneading the blanket as though it were the fabric of destiny itself. Kasia glanced at the stack of books she'd promised herself she'd finish this month, but her eyes kept drifting to her phone. Notifications blinked insistently. A flood of emails, a reminder about her aunt's matchmaking workshop, and nothing from him. Daniel, her soulmate. According to the centuries-old magic in her family, each person had one true other, a fated connection that could be glimpsed in fleeting moments of synchronicity, a lingering scent, a spark in the corner of an eye. But Daniel, her Daniel, had yet to appear. She sighed, setting the tea down. Waiting was supposed to be romantic, mystical even. But all she felt was impatient. 40 years old, a professional matchmaker herself, and yet her own love story was still unwritten. Kasia's phone buzzed again. It was Elliot, 28, tall, impossibly charming, and utterly wrong for her. Or so she told herself. Dinner tonight? She stared at the message and tapped her chin. Elliot was fun. Flirty. He made her laugh in ways that her carefully ordered life rarely allowed. And, frankly, he didn't come with a terrifying expectation of destiny.
Sure.
7, she typed back. By the time Kasia met Elliot at the little bistro downtown, the city had turned from gray to a soft, golden twilight. He greeted her with that lopsided grin, the one that always made her heart do that annoying little flutter. They ordered, chatted about work, movies, and the absurdity of online dating profiles, and for a little while, she allowed herself to forget Daniel entirely. And then it happened. He introduced her to his boss. Daniel. Kasia's fork hovered in midair. The restaurant's hum faded. Daniel, tall, kind eyes, and somehow familiar, smiled at her like he already knew her secrets. Elliot, oblivious to her internal crisis, nudged her gently. Cass, you remember me talking about my boss, right? Of course, she croaked. Of course. It was like the universe had a twisted sense of humor. Kasia, who had spent decades helping others find their fated love, was suddenly standing face to face with hers, and she had just been blissfully ignoring the signs. Over the next few weeks, Kasia's life became a delicate balancing act. She couldn't tell Elliot how her heart had flipped the first time she saw Daniel. She couldn't tell Daniel how much she adored him from a distance, and she certainly couldn't tell her mother how close she had come to, well, disaster. Magic, after all, was never neat. Amidst the chaos, there was one comfort. One little ritual that grounded her when the world seemed too large, too overwhelming. Dot's pretzels. She kept a stash in her kitchen drawer, always ready. Original, cinnamon sugar, honey mustard. It wasn't just a snack. It was a balm, a reminder that some things in life were perfectly, joyously simple. One bite of the buttery, crunchy twists, and she could laugh at the absurdity of dating, the magic, even fate itself. Kasia's friends often teased her about the pretzels. You need to live a little more dangerously, they'd say. Try new flavors.
And she did.
Sometimes. But mostly, she stuck to the classics. Because when life was confusing, the classics never let you down. Elliot noticed. Are those dots? He asked one afternoon, peering into her kitchen as she dunked a pretzel in her tea. She nodded, smiling. Best invention since sliced bread. He grinned. I think you might be the only person I know who eats pretzels with tea. And you might be the only person I know who's completely the wrong age for me, she teased, tossing him a cinnamon sugar twist. As Valentine's Day approached, the city transformed. Hearts hung from lampposts, window displays glimmered, and Kasia felt something shifting. It wasn't just the holiday. It wasn't just the magic. It was Daniel. He appeared more frequently, small coincidences stacking into undeniable signs. A book dropped in her path, a coffee cup left on her doorstep, messages that seemed to know her heart. But fate had a sense of humor. Every time she tried to approach Daniel seriously, Elliot would pop up, radiant and impossible to resist. She laughed more than she had in years, and for brief moments, she felt that magic wasn't about destiny. It was about choosing joy. The following morning, Kasia found herself in the park, notebook in hand, scribbling furiously. Her mother had asked her to document a matchmaking spell for the modern era, but she found herself distracted by everything. The way the sun glinted off the frost, the laughter of children chasing snowflakes, and of course, Daniel jogging by with his dog, Hoshi. Kasia froze. Hoshi barked and bounded toward her, dragging Daniel in his wake. Kasia. Daniel called, slightly out of breath. I didn't expect to see you here. Funny. I could say the same, she replied, heart hammering. Hoshi yipped, circling her legs, and Kasia bent down to scratch behind his ears. She noticed that Daniel had a bag in his hand, one of those massive Costco-sized bags. Pretzels? She asked, eyebrows raised. Dots, he said proudly. Original. Figured you'd appreciate it. She laughed. The world suddenly felt smaller, warmer, a little less lonely. And maybe, just maybe, magic wasn't only about fate. Maybe it was about noticing the little signs, like a pretzel tossed across a park, or a smile that lingered just a little too long. It's February and love is in the air, especially if you're curling up with a good romance book. We know Jenna Hager sure is. She just announced her February book club pick for Read with Jenna, and it's a magical love story that's perfect for Valentine's Day. The book is One and Only by Maureen Gu, which was just published on February 3rd. It follows Kasia Park, a 40-year-old woman from a family of Korean matchmakers who can see people's fated soulmates. The only problem? Kasia's soulmate, Daniel, still hasn't shown up. Tired of waiting, she starts a fling with handsome, 28-year-old Elliot, even though she knows he's not her true love, but complications ensue when he introduces her to his boss, Daniel. This is a book about fate versus free will, love and commitment, mother and daughters, said Jenna. It has a great love triangle. It's about writing our own story. The book was chosen for the sprinkle of magic it brings to a month that can be cold and dark. One and Only by Maureen Gu is the perfect book for February, Jenna said. Not only is February the month of love, and this is a romance, but it's also one of the shortest months of the year, and this book flies. You'll open it, and you'll read it in one sitting. This is Maureen's debut book for adults, after previously writing YA. We love that it combines later-in-life romance, a little magic, and important family themes grounded in Korean culture. All I knew was I really want to write something with romance at its core. I want it to be joyful and fun, Maureen told Today. I was thinking of a magic specific to Korean culture, matchmaking. They have all these practices going back generations and generations, she said, which became the inspiration for the story. Whether you'll be celebrating Valentine's Day with a loved one or spending it with a slice of cake and your favorite book, this February read will be perfectly on theme. Grab a copy for yourself to enjoy an easy, breezy, romantic read while we wait for spring to come. Don't forget to join the GH Book Club for more great book recommendations every month. During a recent appearance on Today, Oprah didn't hesitate when the topic of favorite snacks came up, calling Dutz pretzels her number one, with a special nod to the original flavor. Jenna Hager quickly responded, "I need to clap for Dutz." It wasn't the only time Jenna has enthusiastically talked about the pretzels, either. It's not a flashy endorsement deal or a paid partnership. It's genuine snack love. And that authenticity is exactly how it's built such a devoted following.